I got a call this morning at 7:15, actually a text from Linda, and she said, I've got the stomach flu, and you're going to have to fill in for me at the VALS conference today. I'm not quite qualified to talk about Bill Daniels and the free enterprise system that Linda was going to talk about, but I told her that I'm about a 125 batting average with runners in scoring position, and given the size of this crowd, it's the bottom of the ninth, bases are loaded, and there are 2 outs. So I'm stepping into the batter's box to talk about Bill Daniels and his love for the free enterprise system. As Paul said, I started my career in public accounting in 1985 when I graduated from CSU, and the first audit that I was sent out on was one of the cable companies that Bill Daniels owned. So I got to meet Bill right away in my career, and for 12 years I spent working in public accounting, doing audits and tax returns for Bill Daniels and his entities. So I got to know Bill very well from a business standpoint. After 12 years in public accounting, I was hired by Bill's company, the investment bank that helped create his cable empire, to become the chief financial officer. And for the last 3 years of his life, I was able to work directly with Bill Daniels and get to know him a little bit better. Prior to my joining the investment bank, it was about the time that Bill was putting together the thoughts of his foundation and thinking about his own mortality, which nobody likes to think about, but Bill did a great job, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, in creating his foundation and what he funds and the legacy that he carries out. So I got the slides from one of Linda's lieutenants about 2 hours ago, so I'll do the best I can to tell you a little bit about Bill Daniels and his love for the free enterprise system. As you know, Bill Daniels was a very successful entrepreneur in the cable industry. He was a philanthropist. He was a decorated naval aviator in both World War II and in the Korean War. He was a Blue Angel with in the Navy. He was a patriot, and he was a fierce defender of the free enterprise system. As a matter of fact, he said the 8th wonder of the world is the free enterprise system, and the 9th wonder of the world is that so few people understand how to use it. He loved the free enterprise system so much that in 1987, he met and hired Linda Childers. That was the first time that Linda met Bill Daniels. Linda was a banker, but she had started her own consulting company in the banking industry. And Bill had met Linda, and Bill decided that he wanted to build a bank for kids. The bank was to teach financial literacy so that kids may prosper in the free enterprise system as they move forward in their lives. His vision for the bank was to cater to kids. He was to understand that he wanted to teach the kids that they were to understand that we have the best financial system in the world, and that every transaction that the kids encountered was a learning opportunity. The bank was created with a very complicated structure. First of all, when you do pro formas for a bank for kids, when they have deposits that average about $125, it's hard to show a profitability. So the regulators had a big issue with a bank for kids. There were many legal issues with dealing with minors as well. And through the process that Linda worked with Bill, she tells a story about going to Bill on numbers of occasions and mentioning to Bill all of these roadblocks, these different issues that she kept coming up with or encountered with. And Bill would say, I don't care, go figure it out and make it happen. When the bank was actually chartered, they had overcome 16 legal and regulatory exceptions to open the bank. Bill loved young entrepreneurs. And just like any bank, he would have each kid that applied for a loan, and we're talking about loans that were $30, $50, maybe $100 to start a business. And he would have each kid complete a business plan, just like you and I would have to do if we walked into a bank and wanted to start a business. And Linda would take these business plans and forward them to Bill. He'd love to see the business plans of these kids. And oftentimes he would call the kid and have him come into his office, and they would sit down and they would walk through the SWOT analysis, believe it or not. The kids had to do that. They had to understand all kinds of things about what they were going to encounter in their new business, and he took an active role in making sure that they understood that. Young Americans Bank has done an outstanding job defending the free enterprise system and teaching it to our young kids. There are numbers of programs that the Young Americans Education Foundation has created, and I'm sure many of you in this room have gone through some or many of them. Be Your Own Boss is a program for 5th and 6th graders. Get Ahead for Business is a high school 2-semester program that was created by Young Americans Education Foundation. There's a business toolkit that's actually sold on Amazon.com that helps young entrepreneurs get started with their own business. And as Paul said, I'm on the board of the Young Americans Bank and Education Foundation, and we're in the process now of putting together a program that the Gallup Foundation has determined that kids can be identified as entrepreneurs as early as 5th grade. But most of that creativity gets stifled in our public education system. And so the Gallup Foundation has determined that if we can cultivate this creativity in our young people, many of our entrepreneurs won't be stifled. So the Young Americans Education Foundation is in the process of putting together a program to help cultivate young kids and their entrepreneurial spirit. Probably the signature program for Bill Daniels and free enterprise programming is the Young Ameritown. And again, I'm sure many of the students in this room have gone through the program. It's been around for about 20 years. As a matter of fact, Linda likes to tell the story that she met my wife before she met me, because my wife was a 5th grade school teacher in Jefferson County and piloted the program for Young Americans Bank at the time. So she worked closely with my wife in working out all the bugs, and I've got some great stories I'd love to tell you, but time doesn't permit it. But the Young Ameritown is a 5th grade curriculum that teaches the free enterprise system and the lessons to be learned in free enterprise. And there are 3 locations around the state that many of our young people get to participate in. There's rural Young Ameritown in Ray, Colorado. So a lot of students on the in Eastern Plains get to participate in rural Young Ameritown. There's a branch in Belmar, which is in Lakewood, where Jefferson County Public Schools participate and send most of their students to. And then obviously at Young Americans Bank on the 2nd floor is the large facility for Young Ameritown. So I'm getting a little bit ahead, but let me tell you about the International Town, which teaches global economics for our 7th grade kids. So after they go through Young Ameritown and learn about the free enterprise system, we put them through a 7th grade program, which is called International Town. It's a 7th grade curriculum, and it teaches lessons in global economics. The lesson here, though, is not how global countries work together in the economic system, but hopefully the message at the end of the day is how much better the free enterprise system is than the other countries. And they through the interaction of the town that day that they're there, they learn that the free enterprise system does prevail. So over 550,000 kids have participated in Young American Bank and Education Foundation programming since it was started 25 years ago. 2012 was the 25th anniversary. And as I said before, the complications of having the bank and lack of profitability and the regulatory issues were quickly overcome when the $1.3 billion foundation said that it would support and back the bank. It's probably one of the most well-capitalized banks in the country, if you really think about it. As I mentioned, in the 90s, Bill did do a great job of thinking about his own mortality and what he wanted his legacy to be upon his death. And when he passed away in March of 2000, March 7th of 2000, his estate was created with about $1.2 billion of assets. I'll go through some of the spending, but the good news is that after all of the spending that we've done since 2000, the principal as of April was $1.3 billion. So we're doing a great job, or I have to give a lot of credit to our investment committee, who does a great job making sure that we are in perpetuity. But Bill wanted to fund programs in Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, and Utah. And he had a personal reason for doing each one of those states, and I'm not going to go into each one of those reasons, but they're available on our website if you're interested. He also said that 30% of the funding would go to scholarships and 70% of the funding would go to grants. The grants program is the program that I run. Since 2000, we've given over 2,500 scholarships away, which is about $107 million. Our scholarship isn't merit-based. It's based on character, leadership, and service to the community. It's also a need-based scholarship. The grants program since 2000 has given away over $368 million. And we fund 10 funding areas, again, all very specifically stated out in Bill Daniels' guidelines. And furthermore, we're not allowed to change these funding areas. He funds aging, alcoholism and substance abuse, amateur sports, disabilities, early childhood education, K-12 education reform, ethics and integrity in business, business schools. As a matter of fact, the Daniels College of Business is named after Bill Daniels primarily for his adamancy of putting ethics into the business curriculum. He wanted us to fund homeless and disadvantaged, youth development, and then finally Young Americans Bank. It's hard to talk about Bill Daniels and his love for the free enterprise system in 12 minutes, which was the time that Linda was given. But I want to offer each one of you an opportunity to go out to our website and download the Life and Legacy of Bill Daniels book. It was written last year to be able to put in writing, and in his own words, through all of the archived writings that Bill Daniels, that we have for Bill Daniels, we were able to pull out excerpts on why he wanted to fund disabilities and why he wanted to fund aging programs and why he wanted to fund the different states. So please feel free to go out and download a PDF version or a Kindle version for free, and it's on our website, danielsfund.org.